My boyfriend had a tight little group, 3 guys and 1 girl. Before he ever took me to meet them, he sat me down for a talk so serious it almost sounded like a warning. "If you mess with Lila in any way," he said, staring straight at me, "we're done." Right then and there. No discussion. I nodded like the most obedient girlfriend on earth. Sweet smile. Calm voice. But inside, I was buzzing, because if there was one thing I'd learned about untouchable girls in friend groups, it was that they always came with rules. And rules always came with cracks. He doubled down, like he was delivering a sacred vow. "Even though you're my girlfriend, Lila is the absolute priority in my heart. If you want to be with me, you respect her. You protect her." After he left, my roommates nearly choked laughing. "You're the hottest girl on this entire campus," one of them said, wiping tears from her eyes. "And you're lowering yourself for some guy and his precious little princess? You're going to regret this." They stormed out, slamming the door. I didn't even flinch. I just grabbed Lucas's arm like I was completely charmed. "Let's go," I said brightly. "We shouldn't keep your friends waiting." When we walked in, she was exactly where I expected her to be, center of the couch, posed like the place belonged to her. Light-colored dress, angel face, the kind of pure look that made guys start speaking softer without realizing it. 2 of the guys were sitting close on either side, protective and possessive in a way that wasn't subtle at all. I braced myself for cold arrogance. Instead, the second she saw me, Lila sprang up and rushed over like we were long-lost best friends. "You must be Lucas's new girlfriend," she squealed, grabbing both my hands. "Oh my God, you're gorgeous." Then she pointed, beaming. "This is Bruno and this is Caio. Hey, stop staring and welcome our new member." Bruno, glasses, polite posture, gave me a quick smile that didn't reach his eyes. His handshake was brief, almost hesitant. Caio, short hair, hard expression, didn't bother hiding his judgment. He crossed his arms and looked at me like I didn't belong. I licked my lips, then gave them my biggest, warmest smile. Lila kept chattering, still holding my hands like she was claiming me. "So tell me, how does a girl like you fall for Lucas? What did you see in him?" Lucas ruffled her hair like it was the most natural thing in the world. Then he took off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. "You're not feeling well, right?" he said softly. "Here. Stay warm." Lila's gaze flicked to me immediately, sharp for half a second, like she was testing the room. "There's not going to be any jealousy drama here, right?" The silence grew heavy. Lucas frowned, uncomfortable. I lifted an eyebrow, calm as glass. "Jealous?" I said lightly. "Of course not. Lucas told me you're like everyone's little sister. Now that I've met you, I totally get it. You're sweet. It makes sense they treat you like a princess." Bruno and Caio relaxed instantly, like I just said the correct password. Lila froze for a heartbeat, barely noticeable, then her smile snapped back into place. "Wow," she said, blinking innocently. "You're so different from the others." Lucas's exes were always competing with me for no reason. I wanted to be friends, but they always acted like I was the problem. Then she sighed and turned to Lucas with a mock scolding look. "I still can't believe you fell for Marina," she said, sweet voice edged with meaning. "She must have quite a trick." I smiled like I hadn't heard the blade slide between the words. Food arrived, and we ate while Lila talked nonstop, stories, jokes, little inside references that reminded me, over and over, that I was new and she was established. I stayed pleasant. Attentive. Perfect. But I was watching. Because you could feel it beneath the sweetness, like pieces being nudged into place. Then, suddenly, Lila let out a small yelp. A bit of hot broth splashed onto her lap. She clutched at her dress, face pinched in discomfort. I leaned forward instinctively. "Are you?" Lucas moved fast, stepping between us so abruptly that I lost my balance and ended up on the floor. Bruno shot up. "I knew it," he snapped. "She acted nice and now she's showing her true colors." Caio's voice was cold and flat. "We promised we'd protect Lila." Lucas looked down at me, jaw tight. "Marina," he said. "Apologize. Now." Lila leaned into Lucas's side, all fragile innocence. And from behind his shoulder, she gave me a tiny, victorious smile. Most girls would have stood up and walked out. I didn't. I let my eyes fill instantly. I pressed a hand to my chest like I was struggling to breathe. I'm sorry, I said, voice shaking. I didn't see you when I reached for the bowl. I would never do that on purpose. I really want to get along. I want to be your friend. I looked at her like she was the only one who could save me. You'll forgive me, right? Lila went rigid, like my reaction wasn't in her script. Then she forced a smile, the kind that strains at the corners. Of course, she said quickly. Guys, don't fight. Marina didn't mean it. I leaned into Lucas, tears slipping down my face. For the first time, guilt crossed his expression. His arm tightened around me, like he realized he'd gone too far. He opened his mouth to speak. But Lila cut in smoothly. Let's finish eating and go to the pool. Then she turned to him, bright again. Lucas, you were going to teach me to swim, remember? I bought a new bikini. Just like that, the focus shifted. Forks clinked. Chairs scraped. Bruno was already standing. Let's go. Kaio followed without a glance at me. They clustered around her like she was the main attraction, leaving me behind like an afterthought. Lucas threw me a quick look, almost apologetic, but Lila was already clinging to his arm, chatting about swimming like nothing had happened. At the pool, she appeared in a modest floral bikini and attached herself to Lucas without hesitation. The moment her toes touched the water, she squealed and climbed into his lap, arms around his neck like it was expected. I stepped out in my own suit, bolder, more confident, the kind that naturally drew attention. And it did. A couple of guys nearby glanced over. I kept my voice calm. Lucas, I'm not a great swimmer either. Can you teach me? Every head turned. Lucas hesitated. For a second, he loosened his hold on Lila and started toward me. Then Lila grabbed his hand, smiling sweetly. Sorry, Marina, she said lightly. Today Lucas is with me. Lucas scratched his nose, avoiding my eyes. I promised Lila first. Just wait a bit. And off they went together, her laughing, clinging to him the entire time. I stood alone at the edge of the pool, watching him play rescuer for a girl who wasn't in trouble, just demanding attention. That's when a stranger swam closer, resting his arms on the ledge near me. Hey, he said with an easy grin. Want some help? Lucas's head snapped around. She's my girlfriend, he barked. Back off. The guy looked him up and down, then at Lila practically glued to his side. He laughed under his breath. You sure like having everything at once. What are you implying? Lucas snapped. Lila is like a sister to me. A sister? The guy said skeptically. Doesn't look like it. I almost laughed. Instead, I smiled politely. Thanks, but I'm okay. He shrugged and drifted off. Offer stands. Lucas swam over, irritation clear. Those guys don't have good intentions, he said sharply. Be more careful. I lowered my eyes, playing quiet, playing unsure. But inside, I was tired. Since he was busy guarding Lila, I tilted my head and said softly, maybe Bruno or Kaio can help me. They're your real friends, right? Bruno, sitting nearby, looked up sharply. What makes you think we're here to babysit you? He scoffed. I smiled innocently. Then just show me. Kaio muttered something under his breath, annoyed, but the two of them eventually helped me into the water, keeping their distance, stiff and uncomfortable. From farther away, Lila's voice cut through the air, sweet but sharp. Lucas, she called. Pay attention. That's when I noticed it. Lucas kept looking at me. Again and again. Even when Lila tugged him back, his focus drifted. Her smile started to strain. I blinked slowly, then let my leg cramp just enough. I tilted and reached out, ending up in Bruno's arms. He froze. Sorry, I whispered. It hurts, I forgot to stretch. Kaio hesitated, then swam closer, carefully easing the tension in my calf like he was afraid of getting too close. Then Lila's voice rang out, high and sharp. Bruno. Bruno startled and pulled away too fast, swimming back toward her. The sudden loss of support made me dip under the surface for a moment before I steadied myself, coughing softly as I grabbed the edge. In the scramble, I bumped into Kaio, close enough that he immediately looked away, clearly flustered. When I pulled myself out, water dripping from my hair, Kaio wouldn't meet my eyes. Bruno stared straight ahead. And Lila marched over, her sweetness barely containing her irritation. Marina, she said tightly, you're Lucas's girlfriend. Why are you being so close with Bruno? I wiped the water from my face slowly, still coughing a little, more embarrassed than anything. I was slipping, I said quietly. I grabbed the first thing I could. I'm sorry if that looked weird. Lucas stepped in immediately, jaw tight. Lila, Marina really did have a cramp. I saw it. Lila's head snapped toward him, eyes wide, hurt flashing across her face like a reflex she'd practiced. I wasn't accusing her, she said softly. I'm just worried. She's so confident. And Bruno and Kaio are men. Things get misunderstood so easily. Bruno straightened, defensive. Nothing happened. Don't twist it. Kaio said nothing. He just climbed out of the pool, grabbed a towel, and kept his face turned away. The tips of his ears were red. I hugged my arms around myself, shoulders slightly hunched, like I wished I could disappear. I didn't mean to cause trouble, I said. If I made anyone uncomfortable, that's on me. The air shifted. That was the problem with Lila's usual strategy, it only worked when the other girl fought back. When the other girl apologized, took the blame, and stayed calm, the script didn't land the way it was supposed to. Lucas exhaled hard, rubbing his temples. Can we just relax? We're all supposed to be having fun. Lila nodded instantly, pressing closer to him. Of course. I just don't want misunderstandings to hurt the group. Her gaze flicked to me, sharp for a fraction of a second, then she smiled. Maybe Marina should sit out for a bit, she said sweetly. The water can be risky when you're tired. Translation, stay in your place. I smiled back. You're right. I don't want to be a burden. I wrapped myself in a towel and sat on a lounge chair, quietly scrolling on my phone while they got back into the water. From the outside, it probably looked like I'd been put in timeout. From the inside, I was counting. Because once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Lucas kept glancing back at me. Not openly, just quick checks, like he was making sure I was still there. When Lila tugged on his arm, he'd go back to paying attention. But only for a moment. Lila noticed too. Her laughter grew louder. Her movements got bigger. She kept needing help, forcing his focus back onto her over and over. By the time we left the pool, the tension was thick enough to taste. That night, Lucas drove me back to the dorm. The car was quiet for a long time, broken only by the hum of the engine. Finally, he spoke. Marina. Today was hard for you. I know that. I looked out the window, voice calm. It's fine. I get it. He frowned. Get what? That Lila comes first, I said simply. You told me that from the beginning. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. It's not like that. I turned my head, genuinely curious. Isn't it? He didn't answer right away. When we were kids, he said finally, me, Bruno, and Kaio, we got trapped in a fire at summer camp. Lila ran back inside to get help. She inhaled a lot of smoke. That's why she still has breathing issues. We promised we'd always protect her. I softened instantly. Not fake, real interest. That explains a lot, I said quietly. He relaxed, like a weight had been lifted. You understand, right? I do, I said. I won't compete with that. His hand found mine, squeezing gently. You're different from the others. They never understood. I smiled but didn't say anything. Different. Oh, Lucas. You had no idea. The next week, Lila invited me out, just the two of us. A girls' shopping trip. I knew it was a test. Maybe even a trap. I accepted with enthusiasm. We met at the luxury mall downtown. She wore a simple white dress, angelic as always. I wore jeans and a fitted top, casual, but confident. Marina. She waved, rushing over to hug me. I'm so glad you came. I really want us to be friends. Me too, I said, hugging her back while watching her eyes. They were measuring. Calculating. We walked through stores, trying on clothes. She kept picking conservative outfits for me, loose sweaters, long skirts. This would look so elegant on you, she'd say, holding one up. I smiled, tried them on. Then casually chose something else. Something sharper. Something that looked like me. Her smile tightened every time. Barely noticeable. But I noticed everything. Over coffee, she finally went for the throat. Marina. Do you really love Lucas? Or is it because he's handsome and popular? A trap question. I love him, I said simply. But love grows over time, doesn't it? Right now, I'm falling for him. Every day, a little more. She nodded slowly. And it doesn't bother you? That he puts me first? Should it? I tilted my head. You saved his life. You're his family. I respect that. I'm just his girlfriend. For now. Her eyes sharpened. For now? Well, I shrugged. Relationships either grow or end, right? I hope we grow. But if Lucas can't make room for me in his life, then maybe we're not meant to be. She relaxed, thinking she'd won. You're so mature, she said. His other girlfriends were always jealous. Maybe they felt threatened because Lucas made them feel unimportant, I replied gently. If a guy makes you feel secure, why would you be jealous? She had no response. Point to me. By the time the hiking trip came around that weekend, I already knew the pattern. Lila needed help on every steep part of the trail, grabbing Lucas, then Bruno, then Caio. They rotated around her like she was made of glass. I climbed steadily on my own. I was athletic. I just never advertised it. Halfway up, Lila sat down, breathing hard. I need a break, she said. The altitude is affecting my lungs. Immediately, all three of them hovered. I stood a little apart, sipping water, watching. This wasn't about weakness. It was about control. And control only works as long as everyone keeps playing their assigned roles. I was already rewriting mine. I let them fuss over her. Water bottles appeared. Jackets were draped over her shoulders. Bruno crouched nearby, watching her carefully. Lucas knelt beside her, voice low and soothing. Caio hovered behind them, tense, eyes scanning the trail like danger might appear out of nowhere. No one looked at me. Which was fine. I took another sip of water and kept walking. Marina, wait. Lucas called. I turned back, smiling easily. I'll just go a bit further and wait for you guys. Take your time. Bruno frowned. It's not safe to go alone. I'll be fine, I said lightly. I can see the trail clearly. I waved and continued, not giving them time to argue. Footsteps crunched behind me a few minutes later. Someone should go with you. I slowed, turning just enough to see Caio jogging up, slightly out of breath. His glasses were fogged, his jaw tight. I smiled. Worried about me? He adjusted his frames, uncomfortable. Lucas would lose his mind if something happened to you. How considerate, I said, and kept walking. We didn't speak for a while. The trail narrowed, the forest quieter, the air thinner. It felt like being cut out of the noise of the group, no performance, no audience. After a few minutes, I broke the silence. About the pool, I said casually. I'm sorry for the awkwardness. His ears turned red instantly. It was an accident. Was it? I glanced sideways. He stopped walking. What are you trying to do? I stopped too, turning to face him fully. What do you mean? With all of us, he said. With Lila. What's your game? I laughed softly. You think this is a game? Isn't it? His eyes were sharp behind the lenses. You're not like the others. You're watching everything. Measuring. What do you want? Smart boy. I stepped a little closer, calm enough that it made him uneasy. You're right, I said quietly. I am watching. But not for what you think. Then what? I'm figuring out whether Lucas is worth it, I said. Whether any of this is worth it. I gestured vaguely back down the trail, where the others' voices drifted faintly upward. I'm figuring out whether I want to build something real with a guy who disappears every time another person snaps their fingers. He blinked, not expecting honesty. And, I continued, I'm figuring out whether Lila is really the fragile angel you all think she is. Or if she's learned exactly how to keep you in orbit. His breath caught. That's a dangerous thing to say. So is pretending not to see what's right in front of you, I replied. Voices approached. The moment snapped. We resumed walking, but something had shifted. At the summit, the view was endless mountains under a pale blue sky. I pulled out my phone and took a few photos, breathing in the quiet. Kaio stood apart, tense. Finally, he spoke. Why did you really come with Lucas? Because he asked, I said. Because he's charming when he's not stuck in rescue mode. I met his gaze directly. And maybe because I was curious what kind of person could keep 3 grown men this devoted. She saved our lives, he said flatly. I know, I replied, sitting on a rock. Lucas told me. And that's admirable. Truly. I looked out over the mountains. But it was years ago. How long are you going to let one moment define the rest of your lives? He didn't answer. The others arrived shortly after. Lila immediately leaned into Bruno, trembling dramatically. That was so hard, she murmured. I don't know if I can make it back down. Lucas looked worried. We can take a different route. It's longer, but easier. I stood, stretching. The view is amazing up here. Worth the climb. Lila glanced at me, then at Kaio near my side. Her eyes narrowed, just slightly. Kaio, she asked softly, did you have fun alone with Marina? The way she said it, her layered under sweetness, was masterful. Bruno tensed. Kaio, you were supposed to bring her back, not. It's fine, I cut in smoothly. I asked him to come with me. I didn't want to slow you down while you took care of Lila. Lucas frowned. That's not how this works, Marina. We're supposed to do things together. Together? I raised an eyebrow. You were busy. I adapted. Lila swayed slightly. Lucas immediately steadied her. She looked at me with wide, apologetic eyes. Marina, I'm sorry I'm always taking up so much of Lucas's attention. I don't mean to come between you. You're not, I said sweetly. Lucas chooses where to put his attention. That's on him, not you. Lucas's face darkened. And I respect his choices, I added calmly. You're important to him. Diffused. Lila looked frustrated. Her pressure only worked when I reacted like I was supposed to. On the way down, I stayed closer to the group. About 20 minutes into the descent, my foot slid on loose rocks. I stumbled backward, would have fallen harder if Kaio hadn't caught me. Careful, he said quietly. We separated quickly, but the moment lingered. Lucas saw it. So did Lila. And for the first time since I met her, her smile didn't come back right away. Good. Let the cracks show. By the time we reached the parking lot, Lila looked exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with the hike. Let's go back to my place, she said suddenly. We can shower and order food. Everyone's gross. No one argued. Her apartment was exactly what I expected, huge, modern, spotless. Expensive in the quiet way that doesn't need to brag. She took control instantly. Bruno, main bathroom. Kaio, guest. Lucas, you know where everything is. Then she turned to me, smiling. Marina, you can use the small guest bathroom. Clean towels are under the sink. Not the master. Not the spacious one. The smallest option. I nodded, grateful on the surface. Perfect, thank you. After my shower, I realized I didn't have fresh clothes. I wrapped myself in a towel and cracked the door. Lila? Do you have something I could borrow? She appeared with an oversized sweatshirt and baggy sweatpants. These should work, she said. They wouldn't. They'd swallow me. I thanked her warmly and closed the door. Then I made a choice. I pulled on the sweatpants and slipped into a simple top I could wear comfortably, then stepped out. Lila, I called lightly. Do you have something a little smaller? This is huge. I stopped short. All three guys were in the living room. All three turned. Lucas froze. Bruno choked on his drink. Kaya looked away immediately, ears bright red. Lila's face flickered, surprise, irritation, then control snapping back into place. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I said quickly, pulling the sweatshirt tighter and retreating a step. I didn't realize you were all out here already. I disappeared back into the bathroom, heart pounding, not from nerves, but from the satisfaction of watching her timing slip. When I came back out fully dressed, the atmosphere had changed. Lucas pulled me aside. Marina, he murmured, tense, just. Be more careful, okay? I looked up at him, soft and sincere. I didn't mean to make things weird. His shoulders eased a fraction. I know. When I joined the others, Lila sat between Bruno and Kaio on the couch, delicate and small. She smiled at me, but her eyes were cold. Feeling better, Marina? Much better, thank you. Dinner was ordered. Lila wanted Chinese, so Chinese it was. When the food arrived, she served everyone herself, like a hostess, like a caretaker, like a queen deciding portions. When she reached me, my plate ended up noticeably smaller. Oh, sorry, she said sweetly. Is that enough? It's perfect, I said lightly. I'm not very hungry anyway. Lucas frowned at my plate, then at everyone else's. Without asking, he moved some food from his plate onto mine. Lila's chopsticks paused midair. Lucas, she said gently, I gave you that amount for a reason. You need to eat well after hiking. Marina needs to eat too, he replied simply. For a second, the room held its breath. Then Lila laughed. You're right. I wasn't thinking. Marina, take whatever you want from the serving dishes. I smiled. Thank you. Later, while the others talked, I wandered down the hallway. Photos everywhere. Lila with the three of them, kids, teens, recent. In every single picture, she was the center. They were arranged around her like satellites. There wasn't a single photo of any of them with other girlfriends. No prom dates. No exes. Nothing. Just Lila. Looking for the bathroom? A voice asked. I turned. Kaio stood at the end of the hallway. Already went, I said. Just looking at the photos. You all look happy. His expression was unreadable. After dinner, Lila suggested a movie. She built a cozy nest in the living room until she ended up tucked between Lucas and Bruno on the main couch. Kaio and I landed on the opposite couch. Halfway through the movie, I stood. Bathroom break? I didn't make it far before footsteps followed. Marina. I turned. Kaio. Yes? He hesitated. About earlier. The hike? The pool. I don't want misunderstandings. I don't either, I said calmly. You've been respectful. He nodded, relieved. From the living room, Lila's voice floated down the hallway. Lucas? Where did you go? I glanced at Kaio, then toward the sound. Looks like you're needed, I said lightly. He stepped away immediately. I watched him go, then smiled to myself. Because I didn't need to fight. I didn't need to accuse. I didn't need to expose anything yet. All I had to do was exist. And let everyone else feel it. Later, Lila asked if everyone could stay over. She offered the guest room to Lucas and me with a bright, too fast smile. I recognized the trap instantly. If I stayed, I'd be watched. Tested. Provoked. If I left, I'd look like I didn't belong. I smiled anyway. That's really kind, I said. But I have an early class. Lucas, you should stay. I'll grab a ride. Lucas shook his head. No. I'm not letting you go back alone this late. Lila's expression flickered. But Lucas, she said softly, you promised we'd make pancakes in the morning. He froze. The moment hung there, heavy and revealing. I made it easy. Stay, I said gently. Make pancakes. I'll be fine. Before Lucas could argue, Bruno stood. I'll drive her, he said. I was thinking about heading out anyway. Even me, surprised. In the elevator down, Bruno finally spoke. Kaio told me what you said, he murmured. About Lila. I kept my voice steady. And? I think you're wrong, he said automatically, then hesitated. But you're making me question things I've never questioned before. Like what? Like why none of us has ever had a real relationship that lasts, he said. Like why we all live within 10 minutes of her. Like why every time one of us tries to build something outside the group, something happens. He tightened his grip on the steering wheel. She saved our lives. I know, I said quietly. And you all keep saying it like it explains everything. He didn't answer. He dropped me off and waited until I was inside before leaving. The next morning, Lucas texted to check if I got back safely. Then he asked if we could talk. I said yes. 2 days later, Lila invited all of us to brunch, public place, witnesses, controlled environment. She wore soft pink, hair perfect, smile effortless. She hugged Lucas tightly, then turned to me like nothing had ever been wrong. Marina. I was hoping you'd come. I was hoping so too, I replied pleasantly. As we ate, I noticed something subtle. Lucas wasn't fully relaxed anymore. He laughed, but checked my reaction. He listened to Lila, but looked to me afterward like he was measuring something. And Lila noticed that too. When the check came, Lucas reached for it. I've got it. Lila frowned gently. No, you paid last time. Let me. It's fine, he said. I want to. She hesitated a beat too long, then smiled. If you insist. As we stood to leave, she looped her arm through his, possessive. I'm so glad you're all still here, she said warmly. Sometimes I worry things will change. I smiled at her. They always do, I said. That's how people grow. Her eyes locked onto mine. Something unspoken passed between us. This wasn't about jealousy anymore. It was about control. And she could feel it slipping. That night, Lucas came to my dorm, restless. Marina. Can I ask you something? Anything. He hesitated. Do you think I put Lila before everyone else? I studied his face. I think, I said slowly, you put her feelings before your own. He swallowed. And before yours? Sometimes, I admitted softly. He nodded, like it hurt, but didn't surprise him. I don't want to lose you, he said. I squeezed his hand. I don't want to be lost. After that, things shifted, but not in a dramatic way. Lucas started hesitating before answering Lila's texts. He stopped reflexively rearranging his entire day for her. Small things. Dangerous things. Lila adjusted immediately. A headache. A sudden wave of exhaustion. A bad night that required company. One Thursday, Lucas canceled our dinner. I'm really sorry, he said. Lila's having trouble breathing again. I didn't argue. I didn't accuse. I hope she's okay, I said sincerely. Do you want me to drop something off? There was a pause. No, he said quickly. She just wants it to be us. Us. Not you. Just us. When the call ended, I didn't feel angry. I felt ready. That weekend, Lila hosted another small dinner. Just the four of them, and me. No outsiders. During the meal, she steered the conversation to the summer campfire. The table went quiet in the way it always did. I still dream about it sometimes, she said softly. Sometimes I wake up and I can't breathe, and I feel like I'm back there. Lucas reached for her hand automatically. I waited. Then I said gently, that sounds heavy to carry alone. Have you ever talked to a professional about it? Not because you're weak, because you deserve peace. The word professional landed wrong. Lila blinked. I don't like strangers digging into my past. That makes sense, I nodded. But pain doesn't disappear just because we protect it. Bruno shifted, uneasy. She doesn't need that. I looked at him calmly. How do you know? He had no answer. Lila laughed lightly. It's okay. Marina studies psychology. She can't help herself. I smiled. Maybe. But I don't label people I care about. I just notice patterns. That was the first real crack. Because Lucas looked at me then, not defensive. Curious. The breaking point didn't come from me. It came from Lila overreaching. It happened after Lucas and I finally managed a real date, just the two of us, no group, no interruptions. For a few hours, it felt like a normal relationship. The next day, the group was thrown into emergency mode again. Lila said she'd had a terrifying night, something strange near her apartment, noises, fear, panic. The details were blurry, but the effect was immediate. The guys went right back into rotation mode, like they'd been trained. And suddenly, I barely saw my boyfriend. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't demand he choose. I smiled and said I understood. My roommate stared at me like I was insane. You're taking this way too well. I'm not taking it, I said. I'm watching it. One night, I showed up at Lila's place with takeout and a friendly smile. I thought I'd keep you both company, I said. Lila welcomed me like a hostess on stage. Lucas looked relieved, like he wanted this to work so badly he'd accept any version of peace. Later, when it was quiet, I asked Kaio a simple question. Did anyone check the building cameras? The manager? Anything? Kaio blinked. I assumed that was handled. Assumptions are how patterns survive, I said softly. He didn't like it. But I saw the seed land. A few days later, Lucas and I went to a concert. It was perfect, until his phone started ringing again. Over and over. He declined. Then Bruno called. Then Kaio. Finally he answered, base training. I'm coming, he said. 20 minutes. He looked at me, guilt in his eyes. Go, I said. He ran. I stood in the crowd alone, staring at the stage lights like they'd turned slightly colder. The next morning, Lucas came to my dorm, exhausted. I need to talk to you, he said, voice raw. Lila told me I shouldn't see you so much. I didn't react. I just watched his face. She said you're destabilizing the group, he continued. That I've changed. Do you feel like you've changed? I asked quietly. He hesitated. Then he said, almost like he was shocked by his own honesty, I feel like I'm finally thinking. That sentence changed everything. A few days later, Lila invited us over again. This time she sat us down like it was an intervention. I feel like things are changing, she said, hands folded neatly. And I don't understand why. She looked directly at me. Have I done something wrong, Marina? Every eye turned to me. I could have softened it. I didn't. No, I said calmly. You've done exactly what's always worked. Her smile froze. I don't understand. I think you do, I replied. You just don't like hearing it out loud. Lucas inhaled sharply. Marina. No, I said gently, raising a hand. If this is going to happen, it needs to be honest. I turned to Lila. You don't ask for help, I said. You create situations where saying no feels cruel. Bruno stood abruptly. That's unfair. Is it? I asked. When was the last time any of you made a decision without checking how Lila would feel first? No one answered. Lila's eyes filled with tears. So now I'm the villain? No, I said. You're the center. And centers don't like it when gravity weakens. Lucas swallowed hard, like someone had pressed on a bruise he'd ignored for years. You told me I had to choose, he said slowly, looking at her. Between Marina and you. Lila's head snapped toward him. I never said that. You didn't have to, he replied, voice quiet but steady. You made it clear what would happen if I didn't. Silence. Bruno left first, angry and shaken. Kaio followed, quiet as ever, eyes down like he'd finally noticed the shape of a cage. Lila sat frozen on the couch, tears on her face, but for once, no one rushed to fix them. Lucas stayed. He looked at her with something like grief. I love you, he said. But I can't keep living like this. She shook her head. You're choosing her. He exhaled. No. I'm choosing myself. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Outside later, Lucas rubbed his hands over his face, stunned. I feel like an idiot, he whispered. You're not, I said. You were loyal to someone who saved you. I let that loyalty blind me, he admitted. To what she was doing. To how I treated you. He looked at me, eyes wet and honest. Marina. I'm sorry. For making you feel like you were always second. I nodded once. I know. He swallowed hard. I want to do better. Not just say it. Actually do it. Then do it, I said. The boundaries? Real ones. Time for us. A relationship that doesn't depend on emergencies. He nodded. I will. The adjustment wasn't easy. It was awkward. Unlearning always is. Lila started getting real support outside the group. The guys stopped running on autopilot. Bruno started building a life beyond the orbit. Caio found things he cared about that weren't tied to Lila's mood. Lucas learned what it felt like to say no and survive it. We still saw each other sometimes as a group, but it wasn't the old shape anymore. There was room to breathe. Months later, sitting with Lucas in the same park where we had our hardest conversations, he took my hands. I used to think love meant obligation, he said quietly. Like if you owed someone, you had to pay forever. I watched his face. And now? Now I think love is a choice, he said. A daily one. And I want to choose you, with a life that actually belongs to us. I didn't pretend it fixed everything in one moment. But it mattered. Because once the pattern is visible, once you name it, you can't go back. And Lila? She felt that too. That was the beginning of the end of the old story. And the beginning of something that, for the first time, had a chance to be real.